Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Undefined. And I am so excited because I am joined by one of my favorite artists, Cody Canada from Cross Canadian Ragweed. And it has been a crazy past couple of years for Cody Canada because Cross Canadian Ragweed are now back in 2024. They announced a reunion in 2025. One show at in Stillwater turned into four shows, turned into a few other shows, and they are currently back on tour. And you guys just announced that you're going to Red Rocks for your first headlining show in July. I'm just so excited to have
Oh,
Cody on. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Bella. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, this is a huge honor. Like I said in the intro, y'all are one of my favorites, and so this is kind of like a dream come true. So I'm
Oh,
very
thank
thrilled
you.
to talk to you today.
Well, thank you very much.
And so I wanted to get started. So the boys from Oklahoma and how all of this has kind of evolved into, Ragweed not knowing if you really even wanted to get back together to one show to four shows to now this. How has been like reflecting on this past year and all of the decisions to add more shows and all of the experience and having the music back? How has that been for you?
It is. It's been really busy, but there's also been the moments where we have a couple of months of not really doing a whole lot. I've been
Mhm.
on the road. I've never been off the road.
Yes, because you've been doing The Departed through
Yeah,
most of the whole time. Yeah.
and it was getting to the point where, well, for one thing, I miss my friends. I was tired of living with, not knowing what we could be doing. I was tired of. I really just kind of came around. I mean, we were younger, and everybody was drinking a lot, and we just said, "Hey, that's enough." And we never really talked about it anymore. And I was just so set and staying my course, I didn't know. And then one night up in New York City, we talked about it. Me and my wife talked about it, and we just kind of dipped our toe in it. And everybody said, "Yeah, let's go." And we found out how much more sober the band was. Two guys that completely.
Oh, wow.
So that was a green light. I mean, that was a green light. And then we started, we peeled out. We're ready. Let's go again. And this year has been so fulfilling. It's been so, I feel like I got to finally put my shoulders down.
Hmm.
Everybody's friends again. Everybody's kids are friends that, our kids didn't really know each other because they were babies and they
Hmm.
didn't really have any recollection of each other. So now everybody's jamming together. Everybody's in love with each other, and it's we've been able to help out with certain other charities, and
Hmm.
it's just given us a bigger stance, I guess, but the my favorite part is really just everybody happy, just looking over it. Nobody's really thinking about anything but the moment,
Hmm.
and we can't get enough of it. The happiness is very, very contagious at Ragweed right now.
That's awesome. And I could feel that through like when I saw a lot of the videos and like when the boys from Oklahoma first happened in Stillwater last year, I got my whole like TikTok feed was like flooded with videos and you could see like on the band in the crowd this like huge sense of joy.
Yeah.
And I think like, having that is just, and especially in times like this where people can all just get together and relive that. Has there been a moment, like, has there been, when you've been revisiting the Ragweed discography, have there been certain songs that had certain reactions for maybe the band and the fans that you didn't think that it would translate like all these years still? People would react to like that, like, wow, maybe it has a different life now than it did when you originally wrote and performed it.
When we did the first night, when I found out we had 4 nights, it was really easy to make a set list after that, because I could spread it out. I could spread the songs out through 4 nights, and we could really cover all bases as long as like the core 7 or 8 songs are in the set list. Um, but the one song that the whole band was shocked, was we played constantly,
Uh-huh.
and it wasn't even at the Boys from Oklahoma show. It was in Colorado when we did the PR thing, And that was really getting back to playing shows again. The Stillwater thing, I mean, that was something we've never done ever in our life.
Mhm.
Playing a rodeo in front of a lot of folks, we've done that before.
Yeah.
But when that crowd reacted the way they reacted, it really felt, and this is gonna sound so cheesy, but it felt like, okay, we're back. You know,
Yeah.
it just I'm beyond grateful. And a couple of years ago in Rolling Stone, I'd said I'd never do it ever, ever, ever get this band back together. And when I reread that, I thought, wow, what am I leaving behind for my kids? They see that one little negative moment in time, and
Mhm.
I don't know, I didn't mean it, and as Josh Crutchmer's book says, never say never, and
Yeah.
I don't even trust myself anymore.
Yeah, it's crazy too, like how over time things can change. I had Josh on almost a year ago, and he had told me the story about I forget what festival. It was the festival in Idaho, and he was
Mhm.
sitting with your wife, and he was like, she said he's gonna do it, and Josh was like, what? And I think it was so cool, and constantly too was that it it wasn't one of the bigger hits in the discography, like, I think it definitely was well, but was that something that over time, like, since the hiatus kind of grew, you think in, like, the streaming age, that one really took off, and that's what really resonated with people?
I think so, yeah. I know that song back in the day was a wedding song, and
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that people use our music and stuff like that, in important moments in their life. I guess I don't. I mean, I'm not real good at the social media thing.
Yep.
I kind of got sucked into it for a minute,
Mhm.
and then I realized I realized it was hurting what I do for a living. I wasn't writing. I would get lazy and just scroll,
Yeah.
So I took a big step backwards, but I do have to thank TikTok for. I mean, every time somebody around me in the bus or the house would open their TikTok, it was Boys from Oklahoma or 17.
Yeah.
And I remember my wife going, I know you probably don't really know what it means. She goes, but you're viral right now. Like, is that good or bad, babe?
I mean, that must have been crazy within itself too. I think what's so interesting about TikTok and social media like that I am the most interested of is that the fact that these songs from so long ago, like the most like you'll never expect, I feel like what's viral to become viral and how a lot of music is now resonating with a younger generation because I also like Ragweed, y'all broke up in 2010, right?
Mhm,
So I was still in elementary school. I'm 25 now, and so I
mhm.
kind of missed out on that. But because of social media, because of TikTok, and that's how I found a lot of other music. I'm now seeing this stuff that maybe around the time I also wasn't listening to that kind of music until I got older, and so I'm sure it's probably surreal too. You just when you just look online, like oh, like, especially Boys from Oklahoma too, because it's the live recording off
Yeah,
of the Billy Bob's album,
yeah.
very specific to really strike a chord with people.
Well, I also have never really. I always tried to write cheesy alert coming in. I always tried to write from the heart, and
Mhm.
what I'm feeling, and with Boys from Oklahoma, I didn't write that. That's just the party anthem,
Yeah.
from Oklahoma. But songs like Constantly, I love my wife. I loved her then,
Mhm.
I love her now, and
Mhm.
17 was about me trying to get out of I mean, I was just stuck in a loop in a
Mhm.
in the town I grew up in. I wasn't, and my fate was right in front of me if I didn't get out. And I think that when you write about stuff like that, we were talking earlier off about the truckers, the drive-by truckers, and just that kind of
Mhm.
music, it's you're singing about humanity. You're singing about the humans living every single day. And I think you don't put a timestamp on that because everybody goes through growing pains and everybody falls in love and falls out of love. And I think that's why it kind of resurfaced with people because it wasn't dated.
I think that's so right. And even the sounds, like the sounds that y'all have in your records that I want to go into this deeper in a minute. It's like
Mhm,
it's under red dirt. Like that's what y'all are classified as. But I think
mhm,
that there's so many other layers to it. Like there's some rock, there's some more traditional country, but at the same time, it is easily digestible in kind of a poppy way. And I think
Mhm.
all of those work into the timeless. Like it's just not, it's something that it just resonates so well all these years later because of I think the range and the musicality as well. And like you said, 17, Alabama, all of those songs, Sick and Tired, those are all feelings. Similar
Yep.
to some of the Drive By Truckers, it's just time and place that stuff will never get old. And I think that's the best
Yeah.
kind of music too, is the cup that it's, it from the heart, it's cheesy, but I'm cheesy too. So I completely connect with that. I think when you think
Connection.
you
That's
express your emotions
yeah.
and
I
the
mean,
way that resonates.
I connected with Merle Haggard when I was. I mean, probably the first connection I had with music was Merle because when
Mhm.
he, when I was young, I hadn't been to prison. I still haven't been to prison. I'm getting old,
Yeah.
but but I knew he was telling the truth.
Yeah.
I knew how much he loved his everything he sang about, and that's what made the connection to me to write that way, which is really folk music. I
Mhm.
guess if you shred it apart, I guess it gets down to just the folky writing of it. But we just took those and electrified it, and I'm glad it still works. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. That's awesome. And it's kind of tying into one of the questions that I had planned, which was like, what were some of like the foundational things when creating your sound and Ragweed and your solo work? Like what inspired you then? And what has inspired you now as you've gotten older and gotten more experience as a touring and recording musician?
When I was younger, I experimented so much with music, with the lyrics. I first started just writing about I don't just anything. I mean, I was listening to, and I grew up in Yukon, Oklahoma.
Uh-huh.
At that moment, Garth Brooks took off on a spaceship, and so Garth was everywhere. So I was trying to write like that, and I was trying to write like Clint Black, and it was
Mhm.
stuff that I didn't really, I wasn't good at it. But it wasn't until I discovered Jimmy Buffett and Joe Ely and Todd Snyder and folks like that, Steve Earle especially, that
Mhm.
it was you can write about yourself and expose yourself to the world, whether it's a happy thought or a happy story or a sad story. So
Mhm.
that was my inspiration as a kid, and it really I held on to it. And then right after Ragweed, I felt like I needed a break from that, so I tried to go back and write
Mhm.
the other way, and I did.
Mhm.
And there were some songs on one record that I was really proud of, but then I lost interest in playing them because it didn't really mean anything. It was just I made that
Mhm.
up. I felt like it was
Mhm.
a lie, but I can if it's something that I'm really mad about, or I'm really happy about, or I'm really sad about, I feel like I hang on to those songs. And recently, within the last, I don't know, 8 years, it's been really hard to stay away from that murky, weird area where
Mhm.
politics. I mean, there's just so much crap in your face, and
Mhm.
I know getting older, you start. When I was 20 years old, I didn't care about anything but me and my wife.
Mhm.
That's all I cared about. Now I have two kids that are that age that we were, and
Mhm.
so I got stuck in that loop and it wasn't really about one person. It was about just the whole blanket of this is bullshit. Something should be done about this. That was my inspiration, and then and I still have to to tell that thought in my brain that not today. When I write, we've already done that. But when I'm an observational
Mhm.
writer, and I feel like I can't turn the TV off for 5 minutes or something really, really bad's going to happen.
Yeah.
They got
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. I
But
mean, art is political.
yeah, it is. It really is. And right now is a good moment to stand up. But then you have that gray area of you're going to start. I would love to piss people off
Mhm.
with the truth. But sometimes you have to think about what you do for a living. And it's like, just play your songs and move on down the line. And the people that really know you will stick to you and stick
Exactly.
with music. And the people that don't agree with you, they'll taper off, and there's
Mhm.
no sense in standing up and pissing every single person off individually. You know, you can say I hate this fucking government. I can say I hate this, I can hate that. Pardon my language,
Yeah.
but after a while you will lose a certain amount of people, and I'm okay with losing the certain people that think a certain way. We're all humans. That's where I live.
Yeah.
That's where I live. And now
Yeah.
I I don't know if I've ever been as inspired as I am now to to go backwards and dig into my past and sing about songs. You know, the things that got me then still get me now, but I can still write about them just in a different way. So it went from writing a couple of songs a year to now it's rolling downhill. It's juggernauting, and
Wow.
I'm gearing up. I don't know. I feel like nothing against the Departed at all. You know, we're still doing that stuff, but
Yeah.
I feel like if we put out a record, you know, just an eighth of the people that ever listen to Ragweed would hear it, which makes me want to go back and find other songs from old records and make it a Ragweed tune, or at least do it live.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, was that something that you'd ever consider?
You know, right now we're we just hit our groove of live. All those shows were terrifying,
Yeah.
and but we didn't screw it up, but they were terrifying. But now we're like in a groove. Now we're comfortable. We can lean back a little bit. Once we get in the studio and I throw these songs at the boys, I'm gonna throw some older tunes at them and say, "Truth or dare, let's go." You know, give it to
Yeah.
me. Do you want it or do you not? Because it's not gonna hurt my feelings because it's already been released. So if you don't want to do it, cool. I mean, that's where we're at again. You know, as the four of us is. Well, I'm cool with it. Are you cool with it? Yeah, I'm cool with it. Okay, let's go. You know, it's just that's what it used to be with Ragweed, and we finally stepped out away from the Stillwater thing last year and took a breath. And now we're pals again, we're family again, and we're getting close to not even having to practice again, which is pretty rad.
Oh, I love that. That's so inspiring, and I'm excited to hear what you've been working on, and exciting news that things are coming and recording is happening. And this is kind of related to that.
Mhm,
You mentioned your family, so I am really interested in another big part of the reunion. We've talked about this
mhm,
briefly off here. Is that your kids are heavily involved. So not only do everybody's kids come out during Boys from Oklahoma and other different parts of the stage and sing a part of the set, but your band, and also is it the Smoking Nuts? It's Grady's kid band.
mhm,
And your kids are in Waves in April. They've both been touring with y'all, and
mhm,
I wanted to know, um, first part of the question, that experience, and the second part, kind of relating to musical styles and influences, is that I've noticed from keeping up with y'all is that so Waves in April is more kind of hardcore rock, and I've
mhm,
noticed that a big hobby of you and your family is that you guys are going to all of these more punk hardcore shows you were just at when we were young, like
mhm.
Rockville, that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
How has that been as like kind of a bonding activity and being able to experience something almost not opposite? Because I think there are connections
Mhm.
between like Reggae Americana and like rock and roll, but I want
Oh,
to see how that has entered your world and in
yeah.
that experience with the kids as well.
So, you know, my kids, I pulled a dirty trick on them when they were young. When I was probably 12 years old, I saw Steve Miller in concert, and that was my second rock and roll concert I'd ever seen, and I was instantly infected with the music bug to play lead guitar. So
Mm-hmm.
I took my boys to see Steve Miller just to see if it worked, and it worked. And then the next night we followed him to Austin, and then after that we went to Corpus, you know, and we've
Mm-hmm.
seen him 3 or 4 more times since. And they wanted to play. I mean, it was feel good music, and they wanted to dig into it. And then Dirks, my oldest boy, who's 20 now, when he was probably 13, somebody brought Slipknot to school, and I honestly felt like a mom from the 40s or 50s. You know, I was like, "What in the hell is this?" And I knew who they were, but it was not anything that I listened to. And
Yeah.
the first video I saw, he was listening to it at a private school that was like a Methodist I can't even remember, Lutheran private
Oh,
school.
wow, you Slipknot made its way into the religious school.
It did. Satan has infected us all.
Devil music.
So then I listened, and I really listened. I was like, wow, this is a really good band. And Dirks is so infatuated with every moving part of this. So I took him to see him in Austin,
Mhm,
and it was exactly what I thought it was going to be.
mhm.
It was a great performance with a bunch of dudes fighting. Um, but what I saw was that family bond up there on that stage, and Dirks filled me in on the whole thing. But of course, his little brother followed suit, wanted to listen to the same music. Then it
Mhm.
started branching off. Every now and then it gets deathcore, and I can't understand anything, and I just sit and shake my head. Um, there was one, Slaughter to Prevail. They I didn't know how to take it, and then I saw it live. It's like, "Oh, I still don't understand the words, but no, I get it." So, as soon as Slipknot entered the building, my dude started thinking about other things, they love what I do. They do, especially Willie. I'm not saying Dirks doesn't.
Mhm.
But, Willie, his favorite artist is John Fulbright from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and
Oh,
he's one of my
yes.
old friends. Yeah, I've known John since we were like 17 years old. He
Mhm.
was 17 years old, and that's what that's what Willie listens to. And Dirks, now Dirks is going backwards, and he's like infatuated with Fleetwood Mac right now, which is
Oh,
great. But going to these concerts with them, I walk in knowing that they put about 5 to 10 acts just for the old farts. They're like, okay, I'll take my kids if Tesla's going to be there. And I get to see so many bands I've never heard of, and bands
mhm.
that now I have. I mean, I like Turnstile. I
Yeah, I saw them. Mhm.
never heard of Turnstile in my life. And then I smoked a pretty heavy sativa, and I was like, man, what if this band that comes on is too much for me, and I have an episode? And Dirks goes, it's Turnstile, dude. I promise you're gonna be all right. And then by the third song, I was downloading everything they had, and so it's my kids are teaching me now, they're teaching me
Mhm.
I'm not closed minded when it comes to that. It's just music that I wouldn't look for. And there's some of it I love, some of it I don't hate it, but there's some of it
Mhm.
I think other bands are better with any genre,
Yeah.
I guess, and the one part about them playing with me on the road playing because they scream. It's hard music, and it's really
Mhm.
good. It's thought out.
Mhm.
But say Possum Kingdom, Texas, when they're
Mhm.
opening for me, there's some folks from the country that aren't going to dig on what they're doing at
Mm-mm.
all, and then I have to become defensive dad and say, "Well, when Ragweed came to Texas, y'all didn't like us either." But
Mhm.
people are coming around, and actually, the boys told me a few weeks ago they're stepping out to do more shows on their own with their people, which was they were afraid to tell me that they were afraid it was going to make me sad, but it
Oh,
made me happy. I was like, good,
yeah.
because there's some nights I think it hinders you. Like if you open for us
Mhm.
at Billy Bob's, I don't think that's working. I think you guys are great, but the majority of the people there just saw John Conley the night before, and those people don't
Yeah.
mix well with hardcore metal. But
Yeah.
Grady's son, they're really following in what we did, and
Mhm.
with I mean it sounds like
Yeah.
something that we did back.
More similar.
Yeah.
Love that. I think that's so fascinating. I love how you kept an open mind too, because I think it's so easy, like as a dad, or even like as some like once you hit a certain age, I think it's so quick to be like, my music's the best music, and I'm
Yeah.
just not going to get into anything. And that's something that like even at like my age, I still have to try to fight of like I'm
Mhm.
not going to listen to this, but it's like you know what I think it's good when you can give things a chance and to be able to have that bond with them and create that experience too. Like
Mhm.
I love going to shows with my parents, and that was like a big part of like
Mhm.
my childhood as well, is because like they got me into music, and then like I got them into music, and now we'll go see shows together. And I think that's like a really cool and special thing, in that you're able to give them practice of going out in the road. I think it's even good practice to play in front of tough crowds. So
Yeah.
it's unfortunately it's a huge part of the business, but to be able
Yeah.
to win people over still, I
And
think that's really cool.
when I turned 16, I was gone. I mean, I was
Mhm.
playing for whoever would listen, no matter where it was. I didn't care if it was a biker bar.
Yeah.
I mean, if they want, I mean, I had a catalog when I was younger of country bars and rock bars, and then sometimes you get away with doing both, and some people wanted to hear Hank Williams with AC/DC songs,
Yeah.
and I'm just really proud of them for stepping out and saying, "We love you, but we have to go do this," and I was doing that when I was young. They're 18 and almost 21, and I was on the road 2 years before the youngest, so
Hmm.
and we're always gonna be there to be their net, and we're gonna fly out to some of these shows when they leave. They're leaving in 15 days.
Oh, wow.
They're gonna be in El Paso while we're in Athens.
Oh, wow. So is that going to be the first of like y'all playing different shows in completely different places?
Yep. They're going all the
Oh,
way up to, they're playing Whiskey A Go Go,
oh,
and
wow.
I told them, I said, "We'll see you there." We're flying.
Yes.
I've never even been there. I've
Oh, was
always
he a
wanted.
go-go in LA?
Uh-huh.
That's awesome. I haven't seen a show there, but I went to the venue. I saw Oasis in September. Before the show, there was like a little like pop-up event there because that was one of like the first venues that they played. Now it's a cool room. It's
Mhm.
small, but I mean it's pretty historic. Like to
Yeah.
be able to say that they at their age played the Whiskey a Go-Go, it's gonna be
Yeah.
pretty awesome. That is worth hopping on
Willie
a
gets to
flight.
say he Willie gets to say he played there before he was even 18.
That was badass. That is really exciting. Awesome. And so back to Ragweed, I want to hear more about, hopefully I can get this up in time for the Athens show. And how is it like this is your first kind of show on this side of the East Coast. So you did Stillwater and then Colorado and
Waco.
Waco. So you're more on that side. So are you excited to get back into Athens and more kind of into the South?
Yes. Yeah, I can't wait. We did do a Key West thing that was kind of a pop-up.
Yes,
That doesn't
Mile
really
Zero, yeah.
That's no coast. That's gonna be good to go back down there because once upon a time, we spent a lot of time in that neck of the woods.
Kind of leaning in to my next part. And so this hasn't been, it's been Ragweed reunion, but the Turnpike Troubadours have been supporting almost every single show that y'all have been doing, well, most of them, a big number. What about, not only choosing Turnpike, but choosing all of these other artists? Because I think it's like you were talking about the Ragweed Music Festival that y'all did back in the 2000s. And this kind of reminds me of that because a lot of these bands I feel like are great like sibling acts
Uh-huh.
accompaniments to Ragweed. And I think was so powerful, like y'all with Turnpike, the boys from Oklahoma, how Turnpike had their revival happen. I want
Mhm.
to hear more about not only just doing this with them at the forefront, but the importance of curating a good lineup. I mean, y'all had American Aquarium in Waco,
Mhm.
love BJ and all
Yeah.
those guys, and I think it's so cool how strong of a lineup you've been able to bring with you on this journey.
Well, they're all friends, I mean, that's just what BJ's been a friend for a very long time. The Turnpike Boys, it was our very last Texas show as Ragweed, and we were down in the swampy area. I can't remember the name of the town, but we were at this alligator festival that helps. And the band it was our last Texas show, but we had really already broken up. It was
Hmm.
two people not talking to two people. It was horrible. It sucked. And we still told each other that we're not talking about those moments. We're moving forward.
Hmm.
Uh, but they opened, Turnpike opened,
Hmm.
and I had to ask who they were. And
This is
Brian,
early.
yeah, yeah. I mean, this was 2009, I guess.
So this might be right before or like after Diamonds and Gasoline came out.
So I knew that it was a Mike McClure produced record. So it's probably
Hmm.
what. So we did Boys from Oklahoma, and they got up and started singing verses about like the old folky hippies from Oklahoma, like singing verses about, well, Randy Crouch has got some pretty good weed, or Bob Childers did this. And it's like, who in the hell are these guys? And Brian said, that's the band I've been telling you about, Turnpike. And I couldn't believe that I was so disconnected. I was pretty disconnected because of the band was splitting, but I hadn't heard of these guys. And then that was it. Everybody went their separate ways. I followed Turnpike about 5 years ago. Ragsdale from Ragweed, the drummer, he said, what's the big deal with Turnpike? And they made a comeback? Yeah. And he goes, I don't think I know who that is. And then I found out that Randy hadn't been listening to music since the band split up because he missed it so bad. Yeah, those are the things that pull at my heartstrings when I heard stuff like that. So now, Grady knew who they were, but now it's just like it's all new to Randy, and to be able to sit and watch that show from the side and to see this version of Turnpike, this bulldozer, and just the dedication, and I'm going to give props to everybody, but a lot of props to Mr. Evan, because he fixed things and he's better for it, and so is everybody else, and so is the whole music playing, and so is Oklahoma, and to be able to share sober, happy times on a scale of what we're doing with, in my opinion, the best songwriter that Oklahoma has ever put out. It's a piece of history that I'm not going to let go of it. I'm going to wear it like a badge forever, and because they're our brothers, and this is bragging, but Evan told me he learned how to play harmonica to one of our songs. That moved me.
That's so full circle.
Yeah, and I learned how to play harmonica because of Todd Snyder, and all right, it feels good. There was a lot of years there where this, not only myself, but it just felt like we were lost somewhere, just floating, and I've never been more honed into our craft, and I've never been more honed into just longing to write new songs, and I can't wait to get with our producer and dive in. It's just, and these guys help me do that. I've been talking to Evan since before we released when we started talking about doing the stadium thing. I've been talking to him, looking for advice. Like, dude, I'm scared. I played a pool party last week. Getting ready to step foot in a football stadium for 4 nights, and he's been very detrimental to all this. He's my brother. They all are.
Wow, it's so inspiring. And I think I realized when you were talking about this is that, and I'm sure this has been brought up before, but like Turnpike, like right as Ragweed was ending, Turnpike was beginning.
Yep.
And then they had their hiatus, and then they kind of got back, and then y'all did too. And I think that's just, I mean, the importance for not only like that kind of red dirt, but for Oklahoma and the music scene. So kind of wrapping things up, I wanted to talk about choosing that stadium. How has that been, not only to be the first show, but like coming back to it and kind of making it an homage, because y'all got started in that town. How surreal has it been to be able to now say that you play like the biggest stadium event in Oklahoma and then do it for what this will be the 4th or 5th time?
The 5th, yeah.
5th time, yeah. I mean, how has that been, and why that venue specifically?
When it comes to the venue, to do something on the scale they wanted to do it, that's about as big as it got. We could have done something outside somewhere, in a field, but we wanted to bring it home, because that there's Oklahoma music, red dirt music, but there's different areas of it, like Tulsa has always been such a breeding ground of culture and food and music from all over the world. Stillwater was a very folky place, and on one side of it was like a Willie Nelson concert. I mean, you got all the ag kids, and you got all the pot smokers. And it was, and everybody got along. It was just that community feeling, the communal feeling, and
Mm-hmm.
so we wanted to take it back because every single band that played started walking distance from that stadium at 3 bars.
Yeah.
There was the Wormy Dog, there was Eskimo Joe's, and there was the Copper Penny, and you could walk to all 3 of those from that stadium. And the big grand plan was to let's take this thing home and see what happens. And then when it started selling, it was kind of a holy shit moment for the city and for us, because like, where we're going to put all these people.
Yeah.
And then I was going to say this earlier, and I'm glad we came back to this. I hope it does. I hope I don't jinx it. But the very last night, I didn't drink a drop until the very last night.
Mm-hmm.
And it's out of respect for the guys that can't. And, and as Jeremy, our bass player, says, like, we don't have time for that shit. Let's just keep rocking,
Yeah.
And I didn't have a drop until after the show, and we walked over to the Eskimo Joe's, where was one of my first places to play.
Mm-hmm.
I was, it was our after party, and we had to shut down, and I couldn't wait to go in there and just throw down. And I saw a bunch of cops standing outside, and I said, hey, I first of all hugged everybody. And I said, how was it? Well, it was a good show. I was like, no, not the show. How was the crowd over 4 days? And he said, we had 480 something nonviolent arrests out of 180,000 people that came from other parts of the world, or other parts of Oklahoma, other parts of the country, or other countries. You had that many people, and it was a love fest. Then I asked, nonviolent, so like drunk? They're like, yeah, people passed out in porta cans, but just normal stuff like that, but just UIs, but nothing horrible, and that's I remember the moment he told me that. I turned to my wife and I said, that's why we did it here. Because I don't think because everybody around there has a sense of, like, first of all, take care of each other. Mm-hmm. And the other sense is don't blow it. Yeah. Use your good. Let's all just enjoy ourselves. Nobody has to come out here making trouble, I did see one guy in the crowd on the first night try real hard to start trouble.
Only one person.
Yeah. And they just started moving in front of him and pushing him further back and further back, further back. And I saw a security guard. He never threw a punch or anything, but the security guard saw what he was doing. And I mean, that's why we went. That's why we took it there. It was home. Within, if you at the top of that stadium and look to the west, you could see the original farm where all of us used to. The farm was just a farmhouse that we never really knew who owned it, but we knew the guy that took care of it. And we just went out there, and you could see the farm, which is where we all started from. I mean, we would get done with our gigs and either walk or ride bikes or get a ride to the farm and stay out there all night long playing music and drinking homemade wine. And this sounds so made up, but it's not.
Yeah.
And Sundays was potluck dinners, and we would sing to each other. That's why we did it. I mean, if you stood on the very top of that building and just looked all the way around, I could tell you 10 places that Stoney played and 8 places Olin played, and that's what made it so special. And taking it to Waco was that same feeling because of all the love that we got from Pat Green.
Yeah.
We got from Wade Bowen back in the day, and Billy Joe Shaver. We just it didn't have that same hippie feeling that we had back then, but we just want to create just an event now of, if, in the words of my dad, if you're having a bad time, then you're the asshole.
Yep.
So I know he got that from somebody else, but that's the kind of event we want to do. And when people come to Stillwater, I think it kind of set the course for these Voice of Oklahoma shows, and I hope it stays.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any better connector than a live music event, and especially one that's like put in so much thought. And it's been so great having you on and talking to you. Yeah, is there anything else? Of course. Is there anything else that we haven't covered that you wanted to bring up? I think we got all the bases.
I just want to say that we have recorded everything that Ragweed has ever done live, starting in 2005. And then we hit record the minute we walked on stage in Stillwater and haven't hit stop yet. So that's my Easter egg.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.